city's afraid of me. I've seen its true face. The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the least profitable films that would have had a better chance of success if they had been released at a different time.
You know, I felt weird talking to Dad without a top half, so ta-da!
Number 10, The Last Voyage of the Demeter. A supernatural horror about a crew of sailors trapped on a ship with a vampire held significant potential for success.
We call him Dracula.
Dracula is an iconic villain of the genre, and the film's maritime setting immediately raised the stakes. Ideally, such a movie would have been perfect for Halloween, but instead, the studio opted to show it in August 2023. This meant it came out around the same time as blockbusters like Barbie and Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, it was largely overshadowed, and only managed to recoup about half of its budget. The Last Voyage of the Demeter could have had a better shot if it had come out with other thrillers in the fall, leading us to wonder what could have been.
The devil is real. May God have mercy on us all.
Number 9. The X-Files, I Want to Believe. A staple of the 1990s, The X-Files not only achieved immense popularity on TV, it also spawned 2 feature-length motion pictures. The first film was released while the show was still airing. However, the second one wasn't so lucky, arriving a full decade after its predecessor and 6 years following the series' conclusion.
That's not my life anymore.
I know that.
You're not understanding me. I can't look into the darkness with you anymore, Mulder. I cannot stand what it does to you or to me.
The X-Files, I Want to Believe, was originally slated for release in 2001, but faced constant production delays. It ended up coming out shortly after The Dark Knight, which was a critical and commercial smash. With that stiff competition, the chips were already against this sequel. While it did end up turning a slight profit, there was still a sharp drop in sales from the original.
No, you were good in there. All I had were questions. But you pushed them, you challenged them, like old times.
Number 8, Steve Jobs. There's no doubt that Steve Jobs was an incredibly important person in the tech industry. He was so influential, in fact, that 3 separate biopics about him were produced in the mid-2010s. The first 2 debuted in 2013, and each had a different take on his life. The third and final, Steve Jobs, came out in 2015, and despite being well-made and well-received by critics, it didn't do well financially.
So how come 10 times in a day, I read Steve Jobs as a genius? What do you do?
I play the orchestra.
By that point, people had seemingly grown weary of the topic, especially since the original biography about him was a disappointment. Had it been made earlier in the decade, not only could it have recouped its losses, it would have gotten more recognition in general. Number 7, Last Action Hero. Between The Terminator and Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger quickly became a household name in the 1980s. However, this success also led to his downfall when it came to 1993's Last Action Hero. It was a satirical deconstruction of action films that poked fun at various tropes of the genre. Unfortunately, the humor didn't quite land among theatergoers.
Wait, where are you going?
I'll be back. Ha! You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
Schwarzenegger's previous work had set high expectations for another epic role, but Last Action Hero fell short, leaving many disappointed. Besides, Jurassic Park was airing at the same time, which certainly did not help. While audiences back then didn't enjoy John McTiernan's attempt, the film has since achieved cult classic status, suggesting it might have fared better in a more modern era.
You know why you're shouting? Because it's in the script. You're the comic relief. Yes. And you know what else? I am the hero. So shut up!
Number 6, Justice League. The Justice League consists of some of the most iconic superheroes in comic history, including Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. So when it was announced that a live-action film would be made about the group, DC fans were excited.
Stop right there. I'm in.
However, this was in a post-Avengers world, and fans had seemingly developed new expectations. Namely, they were used to the brighter tone and sarcastic humor of the MCU. While Justice League tried to emulate this, many felt it came across as forced.
Yeah. Oh, something is definitely bleeding.
Comic enthusiasts were left disappointed, especially because they could see the potential the characters had. Many felt that if the movie had come out in the 2000s, it could have embraced a more serious tone and would have been viewed less critically. Number 5. Onward. There was a time in the 2000s when edgier animation dominated theaters. While many would agree Shrek was the peak, that didn't stop other studios from tossing their hat in the ring.
What have I done? Well, it's not too late. I mean, you could just give us the map. This place used to be dangerous.
Pixar's release of Onward came towards the tail end of this trend, and the film had trouble differentiating itself from the rest of the subgenre. Despite getting good feedback from fans and critics, the box office told another story. To be fair, it was also released just weeks before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, which definitely played into the lower sales. However, had it come in that first wave of animated comedies, then it may have found a larger audience and gained recognition for its positive qualities.
So what other spells do you know?
Oh, brace yourself, young mage. I know all there is to know of magic.
Number 4. Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers is a great example of art being ahead of its time. It was a sarcastic take on a pro-war novel and opted to show why the viewpoints were so skewed.
I'm doing my part too.
The film showcased different examples of propaganda and even made the decision to outfit US soldiers in the regalia of their enemies. At the time, Americans had a very different view of their military and government, which left viewers wondering if the director was endorsing fascism. However, it was only in the wake of the United States' response to 9/11 that the film's cognizant message became apparent. If it had been made within the last decade, people most likely wouldn't have even questioned the satire. Number 3. Watchmen. Watchmen aimed to subvert typical superhero movie tropes. However, when it first hit theaters, others like the Dark Knight trilogy and Iron Man were already breathing fresh life into the category. So while it did have elements that were genuinely surprising to viewers, they paled in comparison to its competition.
None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me.
However, with the Marvel boom that occurred in the following decade, some of those cliches did start to reappear. If Watchmen had been released alongside this rollout, then it would have distinguished itself more. The twist ending in particular would have stood out among the slightly predictable conclusions of that era. In essence, it was a case of a good idea being implemented a little too soon. Number 2. Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. 2003 was a huge year for the film industry. Superhero flicks and fantasy epics dominated the box office. Then there was Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World, a well-made war drama that was sabotaged by its release date.
I think we've got him, sir.
And the wind favors us this time.
Don't count your eggs before they're in the pudding, Mr. Calamay.
It premiered between the first Pirates of the Caribbean and the final The Lord of the Rings film. With the combined hype for both franchises, Master and Commander was quickly sidelined. Due to their similar themes, it was compared unfavorably with Pirates. And when asked to choose between a whimsical or historical portrayal of a sailor, spectators steered towards the former. If it had come out even a year later, then it could have stood on its own, both with fans and during award season.
England is under threat of invasion. And though we be on the far side of the world, this ship is our home. This ship is England.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The Thing. The Thing is the ultimate proof that an excellent movie coming out at the wrong time can lead to its downfall. While it had a great concept and execution, viewers at the time failed to resonate with it.
You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue.
The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive.
It was compared to E.T. the Extraterrestrial, a film with a more wholesome portrayal of aliens which had come out a couple of weeks earlier. Furthermore, The Thing was released during a rough financial period when audiences sought escapism at the theater. This phenomenon also caused other existential films of that era, like Blade Runner, to struggle.
Replicants are like any other machine. They're either a benefit or a hazard. If they're a benefit, it's not my problem.
These days, John Carpenter's picture is regarded as a genre masterpiece, suggesting that a modern release date could have given it the success it always deserved. What other film do you think could have benefited from a different release date? Let us know in the comments.
Have you lost your mind?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.